Yes, sir. Good evening, distinguished members of ICI fraternity, esteemed guests, and fellow professionals. It is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome you all to the prestigious national webinar organized by the Internal Audit Standard Board of ICAI on the theme Internal Audit as a Catalyst for Strengthening Organizational Compliance. In an era defined by rapid regulatory evolution, technological disruption, and heightened governance expectations, internal audit has transcended traditional assurance roles to emerge a strategic enabler of organizational resilience. Today evening, we will explore how internal audit fosters a culture of proactive compliance, transforms risk intelligence into competitive advantage, and positions organizations for sustainable growth in a compliance first world. As we know, internal audit is no longer merely a compliance checkbox, but it is an architect of trust that bridges governance intent with execution excellence. In absentia, CA Ravi Kumar Patwa, Sir, Vice Chairman, Internal Audit Standard Board ICAI, and in absentia, CA Chandrasekhar Vasant Chitare, Sir, Chairman of Internal Audit Standard Board ICAI. To commence our proceedings, I take great privilege to welcome you all in this webinar. Distinguished participants, this webinar is meticulously designed to equip you with forward-looking perspective on leveraging internal audit for organizational excellence. Our focused objectives are strategic repositioning, risk resilient frameworks, value creation, and practical implementation. It is now my proud privilege to introduce our eminent speaker for the evening, CA Preeti Sigdar ji. CA Preeti Sigdar ma'am is a visionary leader in internal audit and governance. Preeti ma'am is fellow member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. She has completed her DISA, CISA. Also, she has gained ISO certifications. She has been in the field of governance, risk and compliance with over 28 years of experience. She has worked for Sharp and Tannen, Grant Thornton and KPMG London. She is the author of two international books, Practitioner's Guide to Business Impact Analysis, and A Strong Security Governance Through Integration and Automation. She has worked in internal audit, risk and governance, and currently she is practicing in the domain of GRC. She is a dedicated professional and has been adjudged by BCMA among the first 15 global top talent professionals in 2007. Currently, she is a faculty for DISA course in ICAI. I would like to request Preeti ma'am to enlighten us with the topic now. Over to you, Preeti ma'am.
Thank you. Yes, this topic has been very close to my heart ever since because I'm basically a chartered accountant. And I always felt that there was a synergy between, IT audit and commercial audit, statutory audit and all those things. And I was always experimenting one for the other in my practice period. Okay. So, internal audit as a catalyst. Why as a catalyst? Because it simulates the compliance. Because if you have a good governance system, if you have good internal controls in place, then you don't default in your compliance responsibilities, and it triggers the compliance function. Because internal audit is nothing but management's initiative to, you know, have a mild check on the functioning of the organization, whichever department it is, to find out whether things are going properly. Things are going properly means what is the compliance, how you define compliance is that the first compliance would lie in the first line of defense, which are the policies set by the company. If the employees are following those policies, that also is the compliance. Compliance to external means compliance to tax laws, compliance to uh, the various standards which you may have adopted, compliance to law. Mainly now you are aware that DPDP has come into picture. So you have to understand that law does not compromise on anything. You have to comply with the law. So compliance has become a taboo, and that is why if we don't strengthen our internal controls and have proper checks and measures, that is internal audit, through internal audit, we cannot achieve our objective. So this is the things, and now my presentation you will find that ways and means of what are the recent trends in the internal audit function. So that is it.
Yes, ma'am. So can we please start with the presentation now?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, ma'am. Please.
I'll just share my screen.
Sure, sure.
We have how much time, madam?
We have approximately 1.5 hour, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll
Hmm.
know now how to space it out.
Yeah, yeah. So after that, we can have also some question and answers.
Question and answer
Yeah.
session. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How do we see compliance today? There are various requirements coming from all quarters, from the regulator, from the law, from your internal, from your operational requirements. So there are, on one side, there are requirements. Then accordingly, there are certain rules which will be made by external agencies or your internal organization. Then we have 1 minute. Just minimize it so that. Then there are various standards. You are aware that there are umpteen number of standards. There are umpteen number of ISOs. There are umpteen number of standards such as GDPR. Okay, GDPR is a law, but you have ISO 27001. You have ISO 31000. You have ISO 9000, and so many standards. And standard, it is not compulsory unless your regulator urges you to have. But standards are voluntarily taken by the organization because they want to showcase to the outside world, to their clients, that they have a particular discipline, a particular security discipline in their organization. So standards are there, then governance norms are there, Ubit is there, whatever you want to adopt. But I'll tell you one thing, that all these things tantamount to only one conclusion, and that is controls. Every organization, every business, in order to survive, have to follow certain norms, certain controls. It's all about controls. Whichever standard you take, this is how many controls are there. ISO 27001, 94. SOC 2, there is around 100. So, and what you are supposed to do, generally you are making a checklist to see whether you follow all those controls or not. Because unless you follow the controls, certifying agencies will not certify you. Right? The regulations. And one thing is now that all these things has brought a transparency in your operations. Now you cannot hide anything. You have to be transparent in whatever procedures and practices you are following in your business. So policies are made, but policies cannot be ultra vires any law, any regulation, any standard. So you have to make your policies congenial to the other things surrounding you. So the entire compliance environment consists of all these things. And every organization, according to the nature of the organization, they have to see to it that they follow the norms and they are congruent with each other. So just we saw that diagram. Policy is first line of defense, right? You have access policy, whistleblower policy, IT security policy. I'm sure you know what is whistleblower policy. That it is a part of governance where the employee, you know, reports to the maybe the audit committee of any misconduct on the part of any of the bosses or managers, right? Then standards, PCI DSS, you know, payment card industry, they follow the PCI DSS standards. They have 12 standards to follow. SOC 2, organi- uh, organizational controls, where you see to it that the technological controls, the HR controls, and all those controls, that there's a list of controls and the checklist have been given by CPA Institute. Then ISO 27001, ISO 2230. There's a whole suite of ISO certificates, and every now and then people come, do you do this one ISO? And I'm really surprised to see. I said, no, I have not done before, but I can check it out. As I said, it is all about controls. Once you check out any new ISO that comes to you, you will realize that it is a the sum total of certain controls in certain areas which they have prescribed. And the rules, the the SOPs that you make, standard operating procedure, department rules, HR rules. So these also form a part of your governance process. And the law, the GDPR, the DPDP, Companies Act, all these are compulsory, mandatory because it is law. Contractual requirements with clients, suppliers, employees. So you have signed a contract and you have certain terms and conditions to fulfill. So that is also a part of your compliance. But one thing you have to know, I'm sure you are all internal audit personnel, that internal audit is always at the behest of the management. Management triggers internal audit. Management gives you the scope. And if you are an external agency doing the internal audit for an organization, you will realize that sometimes, when you are going and doing the audit, those people are not too open or transparent because they think you are auditor. And every now and then, what I do is I make them comfortable. I tell them, look, I'm an internal auditor, not an external auditor. And for all practical purposes, I am a part of your extended family. I'm not. So if you hide the symptoms from me, how will I propose to you the solution to your problems? So this is what it is. Internal audit is at the, so always internal audit is what gives you the scope of audit. Every time, even if you're an external agency, you will first determine what the scope of your assignment is. So privacy laws demands that you have earmarked a privacy officer and other personnel who are independent and enforce privacy related matters. So now privacy as a separate independent function in your organization, you have to, as per the, the size of your organization and as per the law, as per the Indian law, what it is prescribing, you will have to maintain a person dedicated to look into the privacy controls. Regulatory provisions as for separate and independent risk committee reporting. So this was it. Some time back, there was a mandatory that the risk function also be separated from the normal compliance and it will directly report to the internal audit committee. So it was the LODR, we are all knowing about it. Audit committee is the mandatory board committee for listed companies governed by SEBI and the regulations 2013. Ensuring financial oversight, reviewing internal controls, monitoring auditor performance, and approving related party transactions. Required at least 3 members, majority of independent directors who are financially literate, meeting regulatory with specific. So more and more, regulator is trying to tighten the grip on controls because they want compliance to be perfect. See how the current level, you will see the structure. So the board of directors is supposed to assess the risk and give the response. Even if risk is assessed by the risk department, the response to the risk, that is the risk treatment, what we call, is always with the board of directors. How much you want to transfer the risk, how much risk you want to avoid, how much risk you want to accept, and how much risk you want to reduce. How will you reduce it? By putting controls there. Mitigating controls you will put. And what does the audit committee do? They monitor, direct, delegate, and create a compliance. And they have reporting to the internal audit function. See, this is just an example that I'm giving. You will say, no, no, in my organization, this structure is not there, some other structure. Yes, the onus of making the structure is on the organization. You may have different structure, you may have different reportabilities, but you cannot negate the function. That risk should be monitored and there should be independent people assessing the risk according to the law. So no matter which mandate is under question, audit is all about getting the scope, seeing the system, communication, risk, procedure. All these words will keep on repeating itself because it's a part of a single domain. Audit, internal audit. It is all about controls. Mandate can be external or internal. You can have internal audit team or you can have external people auditing. Conduct of audit may be outsourced to an external agency. Scope can be mandate can be external or internal means the requirement can be external or internal. For example, GDPR, DPDP is an external requirement, isn't it? But it will apply to you. So you can have an outsourced agency also conducting the audit because your people may not have that much, you can say, expertise or knowledge of the law. So you outsource the function. Scope can be constant, cyclical, but always under the internal audit management. So it can be a one-time yearly audit, okay? Or it like all your BCM audit, ISO 27001 audit, internal audit, they are called, are all annual affairs. But you can have cyclical, quarterly audits. You can have, so this also is, dependent on what the management wants and how tight and what is the, also the budget for audit with the management. So now this is an era of digital transformation, era of accelerating digital transformation, complex regulatory landscapes, and ever-present cybersecurity threats. So now you are more bothered about, the threats coming from outside, the cybersecurity threats. So a new mandate for internal audit has emerged. Organizations today look to internal auditors not just as keepers of controls or as financial controls, but as proactive change leaders and strategic partners who enhance and protect organizational value. So suppose you have external attacks frequently, still your organization is going to suffer a loss, isn't it? So it is mandatory. Now it has become mandatory that cybersecurity audit should also form a part of your internal audit portfolio. So let us see what is the gap between the two types of audit. The gap between traditional and modern internal audit is significant. For decades, function was a check tick box, right? Focusing on transactional compliance and historical financial data. Even today, to some extent, we love to make the checklists and then only follow them. We tell our juniors, okay, now you just fill this up and give to me. But this reactive approach, while essential for governance, often resulted in reports that were delivered late to influence critical decisions. Now, today is a dynamic era. You have even the management has to make critical decisions very fast. Otherwise, they lose an opportunity or they lose money. Findings were retrospective and functions value was limited to identifying problems that had already occurred. So you are doing post-mortem audit. Even when you are using those tools such as ACL and other things for auditing, what were they? What are they? They are just taking a dump from the live environment and then succumbing them to certain arithmetical processes to find out the trends. So it is a post-mortem audit. ACL, IDEA, they are all post-mortem audit. But we don't want post-mortem audit. In today's world, we want to be an informed person, an informed organization, and the speed and complexity of the business world needs a forward-looking approach. This volume of digital data, constant evolution of cyber threats, and complexities of global supply chains mean that risks are emerging at an unprecedented pace. Manual analysis and traditional sampling will not work because volume of data has also increased. Real-time insights and proactive guidance are now the standard. So now we want our internal audit also to be a proactive standard. Internal audit to help us to diagnose problems in advance before they come, the threats before they come, to have the collaboration with agencies who give you, early warning threats so that you can adapt your enterprise accordingly. So the main difference between traditional and modern internal audit is that the other one was a passive one. It was a post-mortem. But the new one wants you to be on your alert and you wants to be proactive. So you must have read that 5 C's of internal audit. So you must see the criteria. Suppose you are doing a risk analysis. So you have to set the criteria for your organization. Then you have to see the conditions and the limiting conditions that your organization has. Then you have to do a cause and effect analysis. You have to see what the consequences can be. In a risk analysis, you have to predict the consequences, isn't it? And what corrective action has to be taken. Now, this corrective action will be, decided by the management because you project all the risks and you project all the consequences, and they will say, okay, now you have projected the consequences red, amber, green. That means high risk, medium risk, low risk. So the management, for the management, it is easy. They will first catch the high risk, the red ones, and see what corrective action they can put. After that, if they have the resources, they will consider the other two. Okay. So now internal audit function does not just take regulatory compliance into picture because compliance is now all pervasive. So they also consider operational excellence that is evolving. The role of internal auditor has evolved from merely financial reporting on controls to managing risk, prioritizing goals and activities, eliminating complexity and redundancy. So everywhere where you see a control also, wherever there is redundancy, the same thing done by two people. This is why do you want the second one to do that? So you remove the extra one. That is, you remove the redundancy in the process. Streamlining operations while driving down cost and protecting. So what do you do by removing redundancy? You are saving the cost. And you know very well that saving of cost also is affecting your bottom line upwards. If you cannot increase the value of your product, but if you can reduce the cost, still your profitability can be maintained. Performance and quality assessments. So constantly you are having an eye on the performance and quality of the processes, an examination of the effectiveness and efficiency of the function, continuous performance reviews, quality assurance activities built into job descriptions. So all these form part of your standard, you know, whether job descriptions are given or not. But one thing I wanted to bring to your notice, continuous reviews. Huh. That was effectiveness and efficiency. When you are operating, even when in internal audit, you are differentiating between how efficient a person is working, how what is the efficiency of the internal audit vis-a-vis the effectiveness. Effectiveness is fit for purpose. If the internal audit is the cell of internal audit is for say risk or is for privacy, then they must be effective in that area first. So effectiveness and efficiency, sometimes you are efficient but you are not effective because you are not fulfilling the purpose. But sometimes you are effective but not that efficient. But the the uh, time and the requirement of that moment wants that you should put your effectiveness in front of efficiency. So you may be doing something out of the process, but you are achieving your goal. So that is the difference between effectiveness, which is fit for purpose, and efficiency, which is good at something. So let's take a case study. Okay. Following a new audit of its digital infrastructure, an internal audit department at a major retailer identified a critical vulnerability in a third party payment gateway. The audit team used advanced data analytics to model a potential attack scenario, demonstrating how a simple phishing campaign could exploit the world. So they saw there is a vulnerability and they, simulated an outage, phishing outage, to see whether will affect their organization. Instead of simply reporting the finding, auditors partnered with the IT and legal teams to develop a new security protocol for vendor access and a robust incident response plan. By acting proactively, they help the organization prevent a potentially devastating data breach, safeguarding both customer information and company's reputation. So this is an example of an advisory role. So the internal audit took on an advisory role rather than a pure assurance role. So PwC's 2025 AI Business Predictions and 2025 Global Treasury Survey both reinforce the importance of leveraging technology and AI to enhance the risk management and improve operational efficiency. So that is beside the point. The point here is that the audit team could identify the vulnerability in the payment gateway and they realized they were not equipped enough. So they took the help of IT and legal and they made a security protocol for vendor access. So they blocked the access to such vendors and a robust incident response plan was immediately taking effect. So then by doing this, what they have done is they have averted a possible breach of data. So this is how you work proactively. And now this is how the role of internal audit has turned into a proactive one where you just don't, do a post-mortem, but you prevent outages from taking place. Okay? Again, earlier you had the misconception that, it's Sarbanes-Oxley compliance. Only you don't do internal audits. Out of necessity, internal audits have been devoting their time, energy, and resources in recent years primarily to only SOX activities. In fact, globally also, because SOX was all pervasive, they focused on, these type of activities. But now focus has shifted to re-evaluate its activities and sharpen its focus on stakeholder expectations and risk-based auditing. So now if you see COVID, you see governance, you will see that stakeholder expect, if you see ISO 27001 also, it stresses on stakeholder expectations should be met. So you must find out what they expect and also cater to that whilst doing audit. Enterprise-wide risk management and fraud are also gaining precedence. So this is enterprise risk management. ERM has come into picture long back, 10, 20 years back. But now it is more effective because you are doing something proactive. Moreover, modern day technologies, savvy companies require additional focus on risk assessment. So you are saying that now, madam, please do a risk-based internal audit. Even if you say internal audit, you cannot negate risk, isn't it? You will also look at risk. But now the modern name you want to give is risk-based audit. Activities relating to fraud detection and auditing, IT security are also generated. See, now IT is an enabler to the business and it is all over. So you cannot say that I will not look into IT while I'm doing internal audit, because it will be through IT only that you will be able to find out what the controls are, uh, controls that the organizations have in doing their operations. You see insurance company, you see banking company, they're not governed by core banking, and insurance has their own workflow software. So nowadays you have to familiarize yourself with what IT is there in the organization when you go to audit. So when you go for a new audit, suppose you are a consultant, then first and foremost you have to familiarize with them, with their environment, including the IT environment, before you embark upon doing the internal audit. So now one new concept has come, which is SOX risk assessment. Okay. Now, what is a SOX risk assessment? The benefit of a SOX risk assessment range from reducing the likelihood of material misstatements to enhancing your audit readiness. The steps involved in that include defining objectives, identifying risks, mapping risk to controls, assessing control effectiveness, documenting the process, and communicating risk to stakeholders. It all looks fancy. But if you see the individual components, have you not been doing this in your normal internal audit also? You have. So, but when you say I'm doing a SOX risk assessment, it looks fancy also, and you say I will follow this. So now it is all compartmentalized, the type of considerations that you are going to take in that particular audit. So what is SOX? SOX also is a type of internal audit, isn't it? Anything which reports to because you can't say SOX is an internal audit because they report to the stakeholders, but uh, it is an essential part. You are considering all internal controls in SOX. Define objectives. Do you do it in normal audit? Yes. Identify risk, map risk, do a gap assessment, assessing control effectiveness. All these terminologies we are very much familiar with. Common challenges in a SOX risk assessment include difficulty in assessing emerging risks and overlooking IT risks. So they don't consider IT risk. That is what in SOX risk assessment. There are many ways to ensure effective risk assessment, such as utilizing technology and reaching out to a consultant for support. So you audit technology, you use technology to audit. That is long back we have ascertained that, isn't it? Long back, we have said that computer assisted audit techniques do exist and we will be using them for larger audits. So, create cross functional SOX compliance teams to ensure better collaboration. So, if there is a SOX team, okay, which is external, they will have to collaborate with the internal teams to get more information from them. Even if I go and do a, say, BCM audit, okay, so I will have to go to each departmental head and ask them, by what are your functions and what is critical to you and how much time you want this up and about, isn't it? So it is all connected. You cannot have Chinese walls now. You have to have collaborative teams. And also, you cannot, take your eyes off technology, because technology is going to be helpful both for auditing also and for running the organizational processes, especially large and medium audits. Now we come to the second case study, guiding through regulatory change. The implementation of global data privacy regulations such as the GDPR and the California Consumer Privacy Act (CCPA) created a paradigm shift for companies handling personal data. Rather than waiting for management to catch up, internal audit function acted as a change leader by moving beyond the traditional compliance review to a proactive advisory role. The team created a series of guidance notes and workshops to help different business units from marketing. So, like DPDP is about to come. What have different organizations done? Already started making guidance notes and workshops to help different units to understand what it is, understand new requirements and the specific responsibility. They also use data analytics to test the effectiveness of the new data mapping and breach response controls. Because what is in a privacy? It is the personal data, how it is stored, how it is used, and what happens if there is a breach. So all those controls were mapped before the regulations effective date, ensuring the company was not only compliant but also operationally ready. So even before all the rules got final, so many companies have set the stage for compliance to the DPDP. So ENY's internal audit agenda also emphasizes the importance of preparing for new regulations such as the DORA application date for investment fund money. I don't know what is DORA, but that is what they have given. But one thing I can say, that in this particular case study, the internal audit took an active role in doing the groundwork and making the guidance notes and workshops to help the different business units from the, and also they collected different units and explained what their role is going to be in the DPDP. So I say DPDP because that is what you will comprehend better, and it is recent. Upgrading audit infrastructure and technology. So naturally, if you have an old team, you have to upgrade the team to suit the new environment. They have to be techno savvy. They have to have the knowledge about, say, DPDP. They must have knowledge about GDPR. So large companies, especially with complex auditing requirements that span not just financial audits, but also audits, assessment, and inspections related to operations, quality, safety, suppliers, and IT. So all these areas are upgrading technology infrastructure used to carry out the auditing. So even the internal audit team, if they come to audit the operations and they have got very complex IT software, will not do. So they have to familiarize themselves with that. From risk assessment and audit universe, creating and planning to audit data collection, reporting and remediation. What is audit? What is audit? Tell me. It's data collection, data analysis, and reporting. I always think about it in these three terminologies: data collection, data analysis, and tell me, any audit, any which audit, aren't you collecting the data first? Aren't you analyzing that data and then reporting? Yes. Companies are migrating from legacy systems, point applications, and paper-based procedures to a web-based integrated audit management system. So now we are thinking and dreaming about even a web-based integrated audit management system. The technological advancement, why a web-based? Because most of the companies nowadays have got web-based applications. So in order to audit them, you need to have uh, a similar infrastructure. So they have web-based integrated audit management system. The technology, and there will be n number of products you will find if you search on the Google, that they will be giving you integrated systems, this, that. So technological advancement allows the CA to streamline and strengthen the internal audit function, enabling it to deliver more strategic value while lowering cost of operation. So now see, again, um, the these are the objectives of governance, corporate governance or IT governance, that you have to have value and you have to lower the cost. Expected benefits are better enterprise-wide visibility, a transparent and collaborative environment, and data-driven decision making. You are not making decision in the air. They are supported by evidence and data. Okay. So I wanted to discuss with you a particular way of audit of only some of it I've taken, not all, because it's not possible to take 94. Now you see policies for information security. Now, what is your question here? The checklist. Do you have a security policy? Is it communicated to employees and signed by them? Is approved from appropriate management? So, in a information security, this is the question that comes. Is the policy there? Is it signed by the employees? And is the approval from the appropriate management is there or not on the policy? Then security rules and roles and responsibilities. That is another thing. What roles you are giving? So is the organization drafted, chart drafted? Are roles? So these are you can say these are normal questions that you have to have in any standard you go to see. You will have roles and responsibilities of the people drafted and communicated to them during the hiring process or after that. Then segregation of duties that you don't see in internal audit, of course you see. So who assigns duties? Is the SOD metrics there or not? Is security implemented in the organization or not? So these are the type of questions you ask. Then management responsibilities. Is security implemented? Is a security policy signed by the management? Are security breaches subject to punitive action? So many times you make policies, but you don't have a punitive clause in it that they will be punished or action will be taken against them. So you must have that. Then contact with authorities. Now, what are authorities? Authorities are that sometimes you may need the authorities when a structural damage takes to your organization. You have to contact, say, hospital. You may have to contact the police station, ambulance. So all those contact points you have to maintain. That is what ISO 27001 uh, wants. Okay. Then contact with special interest groups. Now, what are special interest groups? Subscription to those who will give you the information about any threat, any new virus, or any threat coming, so that you take preventive action. So you must have subscribe to those special interest groups. Then threat intelligence. How do you find out about the oncoming threats? What are your sources? And is adequate action taken to avert the threats? Information security in project management. Is security a part of new projects? See, because nowadays in your project feasibility study also, there is a risk clause involved. You have to find out whether this project will lead to any new risk emerging. then you have to have an inventory of your information and other assets. Because unless, what is it that you want to protect? The assets. Okay. And then you have to uh, do the labeling of the asset, and so that you can identify, and you have to classify the assets. Then you have to have an acceptable use of information. You, during induction only, you should have some policy for acceptable use, and during induction you have to familiarize the newcomers of the acceptable use, so that there is no wastage and the information assets are protected. Then during person leaving, how, what is the procedure for termination, what are the return of assets, how they are done. Then, as I said, you have to classify the information and label them, so that it is, you know who the owner is and where the responsibility lies to protect the asset. Then you have to have information transfer. What is the mode of information transfer defined? Is sensitive data being transferred through secure channels? And now in your DPDP, you will see that information cannot be transported abroad without the permission and authorization. So all these factors you have to merge together. And what is the access control? Whether there is an access control policy, does it cover the information security requirements as well? The access, proper access control is there, and identity management is there, authentication information, what is the scheme for authentication? Do you have a, you know, multiple factor authentication, two-factor authentication? Then access rights are taken care of. Information security in supplier relation. Nowadays, supplier relation is very important. You are dependent on your suppliers. They must also have BCM facilities. And you should assess the suppliers at least annually to see whether they are maintaining the security norms. Addressing information security within supplier agreements. So, first of all, you go visit them, audit them, assess them. But when the new supplier comes, you make proper contracts. So all those, you know, qualities of integrity and security are embedded within your contract itself. So this is just a glimpse of, uh, how we do it. We have a standard, and then we go and see what is it that I will audit here. So what is it that I will audit here was in the last column. I ask certain questions, because what we do, we go and visit those departments. Say HR, we will ask them, have you done your background verification? Is it done by internal or is it done by outside? So if you go around any anything that you have to audit, if you make us this sort of a breakup and write some questions on it, then it will be easier for you to audit. Likewise, this is SOC, Service Organization Controls, SOC 1, 2, 3. Now, all all cloud service providers will have the SOC. All service organizations will have to have. Why? Because not regulator, but the customer wants to see the SOC. So we have been doing a lot of SOC just because it is requisitioned by their client, or some big client is going to come. So before that, madam, please make us compliant by this date. So that is where they run and say we want compliance. It is our tendency that unless it is mandatory, we will not go for it. Even in case of ISO 27000, if the client wants it, then you will do it faster. So now there are three types of SOCs. SOC 1. Now what is SOC 1? Internal controls over financial reporting. User auditor and user controller's office. who uses it. So user auditor means the statutory auditor. SOC 2, security, availability, processing integrity, confidentiality, or privacy controls. Now, all these things are called trust service principles. Okay, and you'll say, Madam, all these we have to consider. No, security is compulsory and confidential. I think two things are compulsory. But the fact remains that every client of mine goes for all of them because sometime or the other, the client will say, why you don't have this? So, so from this point of view, the questionnaire has been designed by the AICPA. Shared because SOC audits can only be signed by a American CPA. Shared under NDA by management regulators and us. SOC 3 SOC 3 is ornamental. SOC 3 is something, the report that we are going to put on the website. Okay, organization is going to put on the website. So it's an abridged report. It will not show you where you are not good. It will not show you the full report. It will show you that you have passed the certification. So security, the same TSC, trust service criteria, but it is publicly available to anyone. That is, it is showcased on the website. So now they have AICPA has, but we also use the same thing: inquiry, reperformance, observation, inspection. These are the audit, the ways in which we audit. So methods for carrying out assessment, website information we take. So any new assignment that I have, I will first say which company, then I'll go to the internet. I will see what information is there on the website and know about their products, services, management, financial statements, inquiry by interviewing key personnel from all departments, and walkthrough of applications and systems. So IT you can only see by doing a walkthrough. That means you will sit next to the organizational person and ask him to show you the system. Because most of the organizations will not let you touch their system. They will say, okay, what you want to see, we will show. So that has led to the walkthrough of applications, which we do in ITGC also. So what it reports on? Internal controls, then the second and third reports on security. And management, regulators and others are going to access it. And SOC 3 is going to be available to anyone. Now, very interesting point is, the AICPA has given one hint ki how to audit, how to take the sample. So you see here that if it is an annual control, so you will take that one only. So one. If it is quarterly, you take two. If it is monthly, you take 2 to 4. And if it is a weekly, take 5 to 9. So this is a ballpark suggestion to you when you are going to do the audit. Now you see, if you are doing a SOC, then there are certain things that come as an artifact. Artifact means what you have to ask for from the organization as a evidence. So mission, vision, whistleblower policy, complaints from customers, evidence of security, minutes of CISO meetings, organization chart, ISMS policy. Yeah, because even SOC asks you whether you have any other standard adopted. So if you have adopted the ISO 27001, then you have to showcase your ISMS policy, roles and responsibilities, and so on and so forth. SLM monitoring. So what we do is we give this list to the client before we go for audit so that they are ready with these documents. risk policy, risk rating charts, RA document, risk methodology, sample of internal audit reports, sample of vendor agreements. So see, in this, as a part of governance, what is governance? What controls the management has to control? Then it will be IT. All IT related ones, hardening standard, network diagram, VPN connection, active directory, remote working policy, penetration testing, DLP, rollback plans, risk assessment. So you can go through this. So these are not, you can say, final. They are just suggestive, but these we do take. After that also we find that we want something, we ask from them. So from HR, what do we expect? Code of conduct, signed NDA by the employees, acceptable use policy, ISMS policy, offer an appointment letter, background checks, roles and responsibilities, document performance appraisals. Then nowadays, everybody is on cloud nine, isn't it? So you in case of cloud, you need the SOW with the cloud provider, project plan, benchmarking document, reports, technical requirement document, project tracker, and UAT test report. So cloud provider also you need, because there will be certain additional services also which will be provided by the cloud provider, such as backup, certain more services also may be provided by the cloud provider. And then facilities, physical access control. So physical security such as guards, CCTV, sirens, fire truck, repos, UPS, DG check, environmental controls, maintenance checklists. So all these things we will ask. Okay. I just wanted to check whether my speed is okay with your time stipulation. And there is no, okay, we are cool.
We have a time, ma'am, not an issue.
Not an issue. Okay. So testing internal controls with tools, that is with the help of some audit tools. A major part of internal audit work involves testing internal controls to verify the design and operating effect. So now let me tell you the fact about SOC. The fact about SOC is that there are type 1 and type 2 audit. So now this SOC, if you remember, was earlier called SAS 70. Okay. Few years back, SAS 70 was cancelled and SSA 16 came into picture. Now current version is SSA 18, but we popularly call it SOC 1, SOC 2 sub. Now the bifurcation of SOC 1, the bifurcation of SOC 2 is type 1 and type 2 audits. What is type 1 audit? See, suppose you don't have any controls relating to the SOC. You will first design those controls, isn't it? So the type 1 says that it is for the design of controls. Not so much for testing the controls, but checking that whether the control has been designed properly. And type 2 says that you have to check the effectiveness, whether the control works as designed by you. So the type 2 will involve more of evidence collection. It will involve more of testing for seeing that the control works or not. For example, there is a control which says that you must have background verification checks done by an external agency. Okay. Now, If you go to SOC 2 type 2, what are you going to do? You are going to ask, how many new recruits do you have? So, so then again you go by your sampling philosophy. He says, I have got 10. Okay. Then you decide at your discretion, okay, you show me the uh, verification report by the external agency for this, and this employee. Okay. So that is what is type 2. It's a you are going to measure and you are going to ascertain whether the control is operating as desired. Because in the first part you said yes, we are having verification by external agency, but you have to substantiate it with the testing with a few newcomers whether they have been tested properly. And another thing here, which my earlier boss used to always ascertain is what is the date of the report. Okay. Suppose the new employee has joined on 1st April, but the report is dated 25th April. Will not do. You have to fail the test. Why? Because a background verification has to be done before the employee joins the, unless specifically authorized by management, but very rare cases it is done like that. Generally, we find it in order, but in some stray cases, we find that the report date is after the employee's joining date. So these are the nuances of SOC 2 when you actually do the SOC 2 type 2 and test with the samples. You will find whether the control is operating effectively or not. Then perform test of controls and test of details. Use document matching to automatically tie evidence to sample transactions. So what we do every time, on the checklist given by AICPA, we write down that what we have sample, how much is a sample, our sample size, and what we have discovered. Apply from extraction and invoice extraction for control testing related to payments, approvals, or reconciliation. Leverage financial statement. So now in SOC 1, it is related to your financial statement. So you have to go by that. Whatever stipulation is there in the SOC 1, you have to follow. Leverage financial statement suite features to check for accuracy, internal consistency, and version difference. So these are some things related to finance that you are going to check in SOC 1. Now, when you say you use tools, there is one tool which is known as Data Sniper. We need automation where they already work inside Excel. Sniper, what does it do? It embeds directly in Excel, automating core procedures like document matching, financial statement reviews, and controls testing without changing the way auditors work. Add-on modules like Uplink manages your PPC workflows without the document change. So it is as good as the person doing himself. These procedures are designed in this way. Document matching it will do financial statement controls testing. Controls testing an integral part of SOC testing, right? And any other audit. Sniper agents act as co-pilots handling tasks like disclosure checks, autonomous sampling, and anomaly detection while keeping auditors in full control. So they will be led by the auditor, but they will do these mundane tasks for them. Learn more about the role of internal auditor. So there'll be ultimate number of ways you can learn about Sniper if you want to implement. Now, one thing of high discussion nowadays is AI. I am not AI specialist, but I've included so that we discuss the pros and the cons. AI is helping teams automate routine testing and focus resources on higher risk areas in internal auditing. No more endless client follow-ups. With AI tools like Uplink, you can upload your request list and each one they will call up. As soon as clients share documents, you are ready to review them. It means fewer bottlenecks, faster turnaround, and cleaner documentation trails. So you don't have to call up individual clients, but they will be called by the AI, and they will collect the documents, and you are ready to start. Automated Automating audit planning. Planning based on risk assessment can be time consuming. AI can assign audits to teams based on real-time risk profiles, ensuring the right resources go to the right places. This cuts down on planning cycles, helps teams prioritize, and gives clarity on this. I'll share with you one experience that I had with the institute only. I'd gone somewhere, I don't remember, outside Bombay for audit. And module 2 I take, so I gave them a risk exercise to do. Okay. And after that, each team is to give me a PowerPoint presentation. Okay. Now, uh, the three teams gave me a okay presentation, but the fourth one, he gave me such a thorough, like very long presentation, and it was near to perfect. So I told him that, look, even if I would have started doing this exercise, I would not land up doing such a long exercise. So how did you do that? Then he told me that I use the AI tool. So this is the power of AI. See, we must all learn that and try to leverage that in our work so that we make our work not only qualitative but also faster, speedier. He told me that, madam, I have to confess I said, it's okay, no problem. So reporting, but you could easily make out the product which is there with the student or it is a high class product, isn't it? So reporting findings and findings tracker. AI helps by converting findings into reportable formats. So even after you have finished the audit, they can help you in the uh, formatting and reporting. With automated tracking, you get a clear view of every issue, its remediation status, and communication updates for stakeholders. Automate. So just if you have a car, you steer it in the direction you want, and it will take you. So with AI, automated control testing. Testing controls is one of the most critical parts of internal audit. AI automates the process by extracting data at scale and tying it back to the source, cutting manual work and improving accuracy. So if you configure the AI properly, it can test the controls, which is the most mundane part in your audit. Data analysis, of course. Policies, SOPs, inspection reports can stretch into hundreds of pages. AI platforms like Document Mind summarizes surface patterns and even answers specific questions. See, if you observe now, if in some of the websites where they are showcasing big reports and all, on the side they will say, you want AI to summarize it for you. You say yes, then they'll give you a summary. No? So in operational security audits, auditors can capture images like a door or fire safety equipment and receive instant AI generated recommendation. So that is the funda which we have for artificial intelligence even 20 years back, isn't it? The artificial intelligence can do a lot of things. What was that? Even they can do data mining. So similarly, analysis part they can do for you. And multiple, see, this is a unique part. multiple language support. Global audits mean working with documents in multiple languages. So if I'm working with many a times, the client replies in Spanish. We don't understand. So we have to go to Google, do something and get it translated. So this is a very unique feature. AI-powered translation tools make multilingual reviews accurate and seamless. Auditors can review any document in their preferred language, breaking down barriers and ensuring consistency across regions. So the purpose of AI audit could be evaluate whether AI is used responsibly, safely. So now we saw what AI can do, right? Now somebody has to audit them whether you are proper or not. So the purpose of an AI audit could be to evaluate whether AI is used responsibly, safely, and legally, and to ensure that benefits of the technology are utilized without compromising fundamental values such as legal certainty and privacy. So legality is a very important thing, privacy also important. So you have to take care of this whilst you are auditing the AI, whether these have been taken care of or not. The audit could include review of the company's governance and conditions for using AI tools, because there should be a policy or something. Review of general internal controls for existing AI tools and review of AI systems design and how it was designed, who designed it, and for what was the purpose. You have to go into that in AI audit. Governance review could include an evaluation of governing documents, perform needs and cost analysis, inventory and classification, and management of legal and technical departments. The review of general internal controls. So, time and again, why it is giving legal? Because it may differ from country to country and there may be restrictions on the use of AI. The review of general internal controls for AI systems does not differ that much from other systems and should include access rights, change management, logging and monitoring, incident management. So these are simple areas. Supplier controls also need to be evaluated in cases where external parties are involved in the development and maintenance of the AI. So you have to check out on the supplier who is doing it, the developer who is doing it, and certify. Why do you audit and certify that everything is as per law and all other things that operational, whatever has been mentioned here is there, and there has been a check on the supplier if he is there. So use cases AI is commonly used for in audit, extracting information from documents, requesting and validating documents from clients, matching and reconciling large data sets, supporting. So it can be well used in data cleansing assignments, large data sets, supporting control testing and evidence checks, linking reported figures back to the evidence, searching and reviewing lengthy documents, applying. I told you, lengthy documents, it will ask you whether you want a summarized view of the document. Searching, you try you will find it on the internet. Applying agentic AI to audit outcomes. When we talk of internal audit, had projected in the last time I addressed the forum. This is a very time-tested model of internal audit. So you have the governance body on one side. You have internal audit on, this is the third line of defense. You have the management on one side. So it will have first line roles like provision of products and services, second line roles like expertise, support, monitoring, and challenges on risk related matters. And the third line role of independent and objective assurance and advice. Because what is audit? Audit is assurance. But let me tell you, SOC 2 is an attestation function. So that the person who signs the SOC 2 will have to certify it is true and not having that leverage like audit, true and fair. The third line rules independent and objective assurance and advise on all matters related to the achievement of organizational objectives. So you can have the internal audit as an all-pervasive function. It can go through any department. In a cyclical way, in a large organization, I remember I did years ago, I was doing PI mutual funds. Okay? And who was giving the mandate? The internal audit head. Every time, it will not be the whole of the organization. Every time, the mandate will be given by the head of internal audit, and that we call as scope. And we fulfill the scope and give the report. The first line of difference manages risk directly related to day-to-day activities, products and services, and identifies, assesses, mitigates, and reports on this. Second line develops risk framework, policies, and methodologies, supports, monitors, and challenges the first line risk management efforts. The third line, that is the internal audit, provides independent and objective assurance to the governance body on the effectiveness of. Why governance body? Because internal audit will report to the manager. I told you all internal audits report to the manager. Now, key trends in internal audit. Now, there's one more concept which has emerged, which is ESG, environmental, social, and governance. ESG is a primary focus area with internal auditors now expected to assess and provide assurance on non-financial reporting, sustainability initiatives, and compliance with emerging global standards like CSRD and IFRS. Now, to some extent, some audit, some reporting has been necessitated by the ESG also. So, technology and cybersecurity risk. As organizations adopt more digital solutions, internal audit plays a pivotal role in evaluating IT governance, cybersecurity protocols, data privacy, and third-party risks. Now, all these things are covered in the IT section of many standards like SOC, ISO. Okay. Auditing and the ethical use and governance of AI and machine learning is also a significant and growing area for internal. Leveraging emerging technologies for audit. Internal audit functions are using technology to enhance their own efficiency and effectiveness. For example, we learned that AI does the data analytics. Advanced data analytics allows auditors to move from sample-based testing to full population testing. Yeah, you see, if I am doing as an individual, I have my limitation in speed and time. But if I'm using a machine, I can do 100% testing. Automation, robotic process automation and AI agents are automating repetitive tasks, freeing auditors to focus on high-value judgment-based activities and continuous auditing. Now, almost every standard says that you have you have to have a continuous audit. And what is the proof? If you take ISO 27001, it's a continuous auditing. First 2 years, first you get certified, then 2 years of surveillance, and then recertification, and then the cycle goes again. So if you say I have a certification which is one time and then I forget about it, it is not done. It's a question of continuous auditing, just as you are having the CP hours to fulfill, right? Why? Because it is to prove that you are in the topic, in the industry. The shift from traditional periodic audits to continuous monitoring and assurance allows for quicker identification and mitigation of risks as they happen. So you are moving towards a more proactive rather than a reactive internal audit environment. So talking about ESG, let us see one example. Okay. With the global push for mandatory environmental, social, and governance and climate related financial disclosures, internal auditors are at the forefront of a significant regulatory shift. Soon it will be mandatory for the internal auditor as an agenda item to check the ESG element. Instead of waiting for the final regulations to be enacted, internal audit teams are proactively working with management to establish the necessary controls and processes. This includes guiding the management on a robust governance structure for ESG and using data analytics to verify the integrity of non-financial data such as gas emissions and what else. This ensures that organizations can accurately and transparently report on its sustainability efforts when the new rules take effect. In conclusion, internal audit function is a critical junction. By moving beyond the confines of traditional audit report and embracing a role as a change leader, internal auditors can elevate their function. The change leader we saw in the past that without waiting for a outage or an incident, they took the preventive measures. So you be a change leader, be proactive. Internal auditors can elevate their function from a cost center to a strategic asset. So right now you are under, you can say a cost center because you are not earning money, but you are an asset because you can save the money by saving outages, by saving a lot of things, wastages, removing redundancies. This evolution is not just a choice. It is a necessity for internal auditors who wish to remain relevant and indispensable in the ever-changing corporate landscape. So you know that earlier banks were not operating the way they are. And now with the core banking, everybody has to be savvy with the software. So if you don't change, it will not do. You have to change the way of working. You have to assume certain knowledge about your work and continuously update yourself. And so you see, now internal audit has turned to strategic advising. You advise the management, look here, this is the problem, you please do this, you do that. So internal auditors are moving beyond compliance. One minute, let's see the, okay. So now they are getting into a consultant role, so to say. They are becoming strategic partners, offering forward-looking, actionable insights to the management and the board of directors on operational efficiency, on business resilience and risk management. What is business resilience? Nothing but business continuity efforts, right? Agile auditing practices. You have agile computing. Now you have adopting agile methodologies allows the internal audit team to be more flexible, collaborative, and responsive to changing business priorities and emerging risks through short, focused sprints. Talent management and skill development. There is a strong demand for auditors to develop new skills in areas such as data science. Now, that is also emerging. So AI governance, cybersecurity, and ESG. Attracting and retaining talent with these specialized skills is a significant challenge. Even for the organization, to be able to appoint and retain a person only for ESG is still a challenge. Regulatory compliance. Internal audit function must proactively assess compliance with a growing number of complex global regulations spanning data privacy, AI governance, and sector-specific mandates. So all these trends are driven up updated standards from instead of internal auditors, which emphasize a risk base. So I told you the risk based and technology driven audit is the order of the day. So business performance and quality assessment. Every stakeholder management and audit committee relies on internal audit for providing assurance and establishing trust in the organization. So now more and more management is trusting the internal auditor to advise them. The answer comes in the form of performance and quality assessment, examination of the effectiveness and efficiency of the function, continuous performance evaluation, and quality assurance built into the job descriptions and operating routines of the department provides a window into the work performed and quality of operation. So now, the performance and quality assurance also given to the internal audit. Audit staff can run a check on issues like does a comprehensive risk assessment serve as a basis for planning and execution? Are stakeholders' needs met in a timely fashion? So, depending on the requirement of the management or the requirement of the role, you can have this type of what I showed you for ISO. You can have a sort of a questionnaire so that it serves as a checklist for you to cover during the audit. Fatigue arising out of audits. It's known as audit fatigue. I mean, you see organizations, if any of you are in banks and all, you realize that one audit gets over and another starts. And when you go and confront him, he gives you such a wicked one and wicked smile, okay, one more audit. So organizations have to face multiple internal audits on various counts. This brings in audit fatigue as they cannot concentrate on their work. Many times it tantamounts to auditing the same controls again and again. I mean, you have seen this now. Other auditor has already checked, but you will not believe you want to see again, isn't it? So, over the period of so many years of practice, I have developed an idea of integrated audits, automation, and integration. And what you see on the left hand side is a book which has been authored by me and published by Taylor and Francis. The thing is that if you compare the standards together, you will find that 22301, SOC 2, any standard, as I said, it's all about controls. So if you make an integrated, uh, you know, baseline, then you can show to the auditor the same thing and you don't have to get the audit fatigue into picture. So this book is all about that. So consider the ownership of complying with compliance functional departments. It's like an LCM, LCM, no? If you have LCM, you have all the numbers, right? So in the LCM, in the zigzag, you have all the controls which are wanted by all the this. So whenever any audit comes, you are always compliant because you have that control which has been needed. Suppose one control needed by 27,001 and another is needed by SOC 2, but they are not the same, but you include it in your control list. Then at any time you are compliant. There's nothing that and it facilitates the audit and he will rely on that pot which you are having the LCM numbers. Okay. So what you have to do, inventory the controls that are involved in applicable compliances, integrate the controls and have a centralized monitoring. This way auditors can refer to controls maintained by referring to the centralized repository. If requirements of multiple audits are in one place to check, redundancy also can be avoided. In the increasing complexity in compliance, stringent laws with huge penalties, such as the GDPR, neither can compliance be avoided nor internal controls related to it. So it's very important that you integrate the effort. And then reporting is the last part, isn't it? All internal audits have reporting to management. They can be a part of compliance to a law or a standard. Internal audit increases compliance to policies, procedures, standards, laws, and any other stipulation applicable to the organization. In fact, in a pre-certification, it can check the controls and validate the preparedness. So what happens is that many standards, the certifying agency will appoint another consultant and say, you do the readiness and I will do the certification. So readiness is done by one consultant and certification is done by the other. In some certification, regular internal audit is mandatory. Even in ISO, even in 22301, in 31000. So you cannot avoid internal audit. So why not have a single internal audit integrated which covers all the agenda points? So the agenda and scope for every internal audit has to be predetermined. And good governance leads to good structure. Setting a good internal control structure according to rules and responsibilities is the first step. So governance should be proper. Every standard speaks of governance controls and every standard speaks of compliance to lay down policies and procedures. So the way in which you lay the policy is also important. An effective internal audit system brings good compliance and organizational excellence. And then, of course, follow up, monitor the progress, verify corrective actions, report on status. This I don't have to teach to auditors. In a way, internal audit serves as a preventive control. That's what I wanted to project. It is regulated, like you saw in the first case study, isn't it? That good internal and proactive, they averted the disaster. So compliance to internal policies, legal and regulatory provisions, adoptive standards, compliance to mandatory standards. Mandatory, what is mandatory, which is mandatory for you? For example, all finance companies, business continuity VCM is compulsory. So it becomes mandatory. Less redundancy leading to cost economy. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, Preeti ma'am, for this masterclass on reimagining internal audit as a compliance catalyst. Thank you for enlightening us on various topics such as digital transformation of internal audit, 5 C's of internal audit, shift from SOX compliance. You have given us the new name of internal audit, risk-based audit now. Yes, your insights have providing us a clear roadmap for future of our internal audit profession. Now we open the floor for question and answers. If you're comfortable, can we please proceed for the same?
Yes.
Let me check once how many questions are there. Preeti ma'am, one question is there. Can you please give a practical example of maintaining client confidentiality while using AI?
told you before only, I'm not an authority on AI, but client confidentiality can be configured into your AI setup. In the first phase itself, when you are trying to contact the client and you are giving the list to the client. So, see, it is how you define the confidentiality. Is it confidentiality towards client? Then they may not like you, and with the DPDP coming into the picture, they may not like that. They are automatically contacted, and mass contacting is there with the help of AI. So even if you are using AI, you have to take permission from the consent.
Okay. Um, One more question is coming up. Just a second. What are the standards applicable for risk-based internal audit now in digital era?
Now in digital,
Era.
in fact, all the standards are risk based. ISO 27000, what it covers security is risk based, and 31000 is specifically on risk. ISO 31000. Okay, then even SOC 2 covers risk. So, which is the standard which does not cover risk? Almost all the uh, attestation standards cover this.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Perfectly. Uh, Let me check once in the chat box if there are any other questions. The another question is there, ma'am. Whether internal auditor should be a part of management while designing policies and standards as well as in implementation. Will it affect the independence?
Yes, because policies and procedures basically he can be in an advisory role, okay, but not doing it himself, because policies and procedures, generally, if you ask me, then if he is consulting on with the operational heads, it will be more better because it is relating to the business.
Right.
The auditor's role it is to audit that function. So policies and procedures always is a top-down approach. It's a function of the top man.
Okay. Mm. I think there are no other questions are there in the chat box. Ma'am, the one question is, will you be providing this presentation as material for our future studies?
Yeah, I will. On which email account I should bring?
Ma'am, what we can do is we will share this presentation with your permission on an email to all the participants
No,
from
there was
board.
one typo error that I want to correct.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'll send you.
Yes, ma'am. Whenever you are comfortable, please let
But
us know.
where to send? You give me the email
No,
ID.
you can just share with board and we will
Arun.
share the same via email to the participants who are joining the webinar now.
Okay, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes. Now, as there are no other questions are there in the chat box, we will formally try to conclude the session now. I would like to express my gratitude to all the participants, and also, as now we conclude this enriching webinar, allow me to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our sincere visionary speaker, Preeti Madam. Her experience and her knowledge has enriched us with so many things. Thank you so much, ma'am, for enlightening us.
I'll share the in 1 hour. I will share the picture.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Not an issue, ma'am.
Arun, na?
Yeah, you can share it with Arun, sir, and we will then, through board, we will
Yeah.
share with the participants. Yes. With this, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our Vice Chairman, C. Ravi Kumar Patwa, sir, Internal Audit Standard Boards, and our Chairman, C. Chandrasekhar Chitare, sir, Internal Audit Standard Board of ICAI. Sorry, ma'am. So, we will now formally conclude the session, and I thank all the participants, our speaker, and dignitaries for attending the webinar. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes.